Thanks so much for
Thank you.
joining.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we're just about ready to get started. Javi, I don't want to steal your thunder. I know you had prepared an intro, but so I don't want to steal any of your thunder.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kevin. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Javier. I'm excited to be here today. At Chainlink, I work as a community manager, especially for LATAM and the Spanish-speaking community, where my primary focus is to create initiatives for the community like X spaces like this, or meetups, bootcamps, hackathons. I work closely with different teams with Chainlink, coordinating efforts to drive more people into the community and support our community's growth. My role also involves engaging with our community, understanding their needs, and helping them with everything they need.
Oh, amazing. And I'll introduce myself as well. My name is Kevin Nielsen. I'm a developer relations engineer working as a core contributor to Moonbeam. And Moonbeam has a long history of working with Chainlink in various hackathons. And we've also participated in Chainlink SmartCon. And Chainlink always puts on an incredible event. Uh, your organization skills and are just unmatched. Everything is absolutely flawless. And so we're thrilled to be a part of the Chainlink Block Magic Hackathon. And so, Javi, I had a question, for you before we dive into the hackathon items. Uh, Chainlink, for without a doubt, has one of the absolute strongest communities in all of crypto. It's something that many communities I think aspire to, and you really lead the way. So I was wondering, what does Chainlink do differently? What do you aim for, and how do you incubate this strong community?
Yeah, great questions, Kevin. Yeah, and that's true, honestly. Chainlink strong communities are a result, I think, is of several key strategies that we implement. Is firstly, we prioritize transparency and open communication, regular updates, detailed documentation, and an active presence on social media platforms like here in Twitter or LinkedIn, sorry, X, on LinkedIn, um, just to ensure our community is well informed and engaged. Secondly, we invest time in education and research, offering, as I mentioned, in webinars, tutorials, workshops, bootcamp, um, support to help developers and enthusiasts get the most out of our technology. Finally, we encourage a sense of ownership and collaboration for community contributions. Um, and yeah, we have two volunteer programs for that. The Community Advocates Program for passionate tech enthusiasts who want to build their local communities, and the Developer Expert Program for more technical people who love to teach about blockchain, how obviously and how to implement Chainlink. Um, yeah, by creating a learning environment where everyone can contribute and benefit, we have built a resilient and passionate community.
Oh, that's amazing. What's the best way for people to get involved if they're interested in either the Community Advocates Program or the Developer Advocates Program?
Yeah, they can search on Google. Is the Chainlink Advocate Program, and you can become an advocate. You can apply there. We will receive a submission of your application, We will check all the information, and if you are good and you are passionate about Chainlink and you are an active member in the community helping, probably we will reach out to you to follow to next steps.
Oh, amazing. And I also love that you mentioned that an important part of building community is meeting users where they are. So whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Discord, maybe they prefer Twitter, you want to make sure that you're connecting with them, on their preferred platform of choice. So maybe Javi, I wanted to give you a chance to introduce the Block Magic Hackathon, if that's okay, and then maybe we can then move on to Moonbeam's specific involvement in the hackathon.
Yeah, sure. Block Matching Hackathon is one of the two hackathons that we are doing every year, and I think it's the best opportunity for developers to create something um, using all the technologies that you can use, not just Chainlink. In that case, on this case, you can use Moonbeam and try to apply for the different tracks that you have. Yeah, I think hackathon is the best way to learn for developers, and we encourage people to join there and participate, and not just for the prizes. Yeah, prices are good always, but I think it's the most important thing, the way to learn more about Chainlink or blockchain or Ethereum or Moonbeam, obviously. Yeah, excited to hear from you, Kevin. What's the approach of Moonbeam on this hackathon?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we were thrilled when you asked us to join the hackathon. We participated in Chainlink hackathons in the past, and I can talk a little bit about kind of our bounties and why we're interested. Um, so of course, as you mentioned, right, like this is a great opportunity for builders to not only learn but also to apply their skills, right? And sometimes the fastest way to learn really is to build something. And so you can build something, uh, you know, on your own, but now there's a chance to build something and then submit it, and then perhaps get some recognition for that. And I'll just mention that over the past year there have been really incredible advances in tools that can help you build and iterate faster. Um, so just speaking from the perspective of our bounties, if you don't already know, uh, I'll talk a little bit about Moonbeam and what our bounties look like. Um, so Moonbeam is a platform for connected contracts and applications that connect across chains. We are built on Substrate, and we are a parachain that's built on top of Polkadot, but we're EVM compatible. You can deploy anything that you deploy to Ethereum or to BSC or to any other EVM chain. You can deploy it to Moonbeam without any changes. But rather than taking the EVM as it is, we've actually improved it, and we've added tons of features on top that are derived from being built on top of Polkadot. So Polkadot gives you tons of features through different palettes, and that includes things like governance, that includes things like cross-chain contract calls through XCM, and that also includes other utilities like batching transactions and many other things that are quite helpful, but are not accessible to the EVM normally. And so we've built precompiles, which are essentially connectors to access these features from either smart contracts or from just calling them from a web dApp. So uh, this is a big deal because these features are, otherwise not available. So our two primary bounties for the Block Magic Hackathon, the first one focuses on gasless transactions. So Moonbeam built a call permit precompile, which allows a user to sign a message, and then it allows a dApp to submit a transaction on behalf of the user. So this means that the user doesn't have to spend any money for gas. They don't need to have any amount of the native token. And this is important for users who are either bridging over to Moonbeam, or perhaps maybe you have something like a game and you just want to subsidize transactions for your users. You want to make it as easy as possible for them. And this is a major deal because um, with the call permit precompile, you can sign any arbitrary EVM call. It's not just limited to token approvals. So I know that if you're, if you're doing lots of trading, you may see that you're often prompted to sign a message that allows you to approve a token spend. That's probably the most popular and the most common one, but it's not limited to just that. You can sign any arbitrary EVM call, which can then allow the dApp to go ahead and dispatch any transaction. So that's our first bounty, is to use Moonbeam's call permit precompile to create a gasless transaction experience for your users. Our second bounty deals with the batch precompile. And the batch precompile is a utility that allows you to combine together transactions, but it enables you to do it in a smart manner, in a logical manner. You're not just saying, hey, let's group a bunch of transactions together, but you can do it in a way that can be very smart and make sense. Oh yeah, of course, Javi. Javi, you wanted to jump in? Oh yeah, of course, SmartCon drummer. Yeah, of course. I see you. I think you have speaker access. You're listed as a speaker. If Yeah, if we can't hear you, do you want to like leave and then come back? So speaking a little bit more about the batch precompile, right? You can group together a huge number of transactions, but the important part is the logic of the grouping, right? So, for example, there are three methods of the batch precompile. One is batching all transactions, and this is requiring that all of the transactions need to succeed, or else the entire thing will fail. Um, Batch all is most useful, for example, let's say you're doing something like you want to combine an approval and a swap within a single transaction. With this logic, you only want the swap to go through if you know that the approval was successful. And likewise, you only need to grant the approval if you know that the swap is going to go through. If either one of those two is
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
likely to fail, then there's no point in doing the other activity. So this allows you to couple the transaction logic together, take two or more subcalls and put it into one. And importantly, this is providing your users with a much more enjoyable end user experience. So batch all is one component. There's another one where you can just say, hey, let's try to execute all of these subcalls. We don't care if one fails. And there could be another one where it says, just keep trying until one fails and then stop. But I don't want to get too into the weeds here. I just kind of want to mention that our bounties here are very stackable. So they're designed so that you can easily integrate them into an application that you're already building, and that you can apply to many different bounties. Right? We know there are lots of sponsors and lots of prizes, and you're probably going to try to apply to many. So we want to make sure that we give you that opportunity as well. So I also have a couple different kind of like tips, and I also want to talk a little bit about how the submissions will be judged and what we're looking for. Oh, I think Javi's back.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's great. I think you had good bounties for the hackers. Thank you for that. Um, One thing I'm just curious if you have some advice for the builders, for the hackers, that they want to create something, not just in general, it's just for the hackers that want to apply for the bounties for related with Moonbeam.
Oh, certainly, certainly. So I think some of the best hackathon submissions that we've seen in the past couple of years, certainly they have like a great idea or, an interesting concept. Um, but one of the things that I think, stands out is kind of the user experience, right? And of course, the smart contract component is very important. Um, but from a judging perspective, right, judges mainly see your UI. They're also going to look, of course, at your smart contract, but they want to see something that's easy to use and something that um, shows that you kind of made the most progress in the shortest amount of time. So what I mean by that is if you have a smart contract that's incredible, um, and it's ingenious, but let's say you didn't have time to connect it to a user interface, that might be, you know, might not look quite as great. Um, but just because judges are human, right? And if we see uh, something that looks a little bit more complete, then I think that that goes a long way, right? The second thing I kind of just want to mention is that this is a hackathon, right? You're not expected to have a perfect project. Um, we expect there to be bugs, right? We expect there to be errors, but you can help your judges along the way by giving a very clear README, of how to run the project. So perhaps you have an app that's deployed to Versal. That's amazing, and that's phenomenal. If you haven't gotten to that stage where you've deployed, a web app, but instead, let's say you just want to run it locally, right? That's totally fine too. Just give very clear instructions, right? Make it easy for the judges to run it and list out all the commands that you need in order to test your project. Because again, that will make your project look better is if we can run it locally rather than relying on like a video or screenshots. Um, if we can run it ourselves, that looks a lot better, right?
So, Kevin, along those lines, for developers who are looking to submit a project, are you would you be more interested in something that's a really unique use case or uses Moonbeam specifically in a really novel way, or is it more of a finished product that think goes a longer way in earning points and getting towards that bounty?
I think it's more of I think it's probably more of like a novel um, idea and something that's very interesting, versus like a totally finished project. But also understanding that, right, like ideas are relatively easy and relatively, cheap to come up with, but it's more of like the I guess how you've executed on the idea that you have. So if you have a genius idea and you've executed on it, of course you're probably gonna win or whatever. If you have the most genius idea, but you know you've presented like a pitch deck, for example, we've had that maybe in prior hackathons. That's not going to be really something that's going to do well. But if you have like a basic idea and you've checked all the boxes and you've executed well, then I think that would shine. And just remember that we want teams to succeed in the long run, right? Of course, we want you to succeed in the hackathon, but we also want you to succeed in the long run. Your end goal should be to build something that users want, beyond the hackathon, right? This is fundamentally a stepping stone. We want you to crush the hackathon and then go off and release it, to the public.
Absolutely. It's something that these hackathons are so important to the space, and I really appreciate Chainlink and all the sponsors for putting them on. One of the other things that we spoke about yesterday in our call with another partner, another sponsor, is the assistance that the sponsors provide to the devs. I think a lot of times there's an intimidation factor to submit to some of these hackathons, to either join in from the get-go or to submit to a track that's maybe a little outside their wheelhouse. So what specifically does Moonbeam do to help devs, guide them along? Maybe they aren't used to working on your chain, or they aren't used to submitting to a particular track. What specifically does Moonbeam offer to those devs?
This is a fantastic question. Thank you, smart contract drummer. So we pride ourselves on having a very, very thorough documentation site. And if you look at it, the link is docs.moonbeam.network. And we really try to go from start to finish. So not only provide you with information like endpoints and information like uh, how to send a cross-chain transaction, for example, but we do have a whole set of tutorials. So as an example, right, let's say that you're doing the batch bounty, right? We have a page that first just is an overview of the batch precompile. So you can go to the builders section, you can go to the precompiled contracts page, and then we'll tell you exactly what the batch precompile is. We'll tell you all the methods that it has, and this is kind of like a static page, right? But we don't just stop there and say, hey, that's it. Here's the batch precompile. Like, you decide what you want to do with it now, right? We actually go a step further, and we provide a tutorial for applying this. And I think this does take us, above and beyond, the typical site, is because I think most teams might say, here's the batch precompile, like you can do whatever you want with it. But we say, here's the batch precompile, here's how you get started with it. And then our tutorial, which is on the tutorial section, then shows you how to approve and swap tokens in a single transaction. So the kind of flow for a developer would be, okay, you can go in, learn how the batch precompile works. The overview page, which I talked about, is a bit more of a basic example. And then the tutorial is a bit more complex and a bit more involved. And this is something that you can actually take and build right into an application. This is much further along towards the hackathon point. So our documentation site is key. And then we also have a Discord. That's discord.gg/moonbeam. And another way that we communicate with devs is we have a weekly call on Thursdays at 1 p.m. EST. And we have it just about every week of the year just to talk, and no agenda, no script or anything like that. We can just talk about anything and answer questions, from devs. And that's had quite a consistent audience over the years.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's something for the non-devs in the audience. It's a huge standout when projects or chains such as Moonbeam have this. You can tell very, very quickly. The support offered to devs can either be very minimal or quite extensive. And looking at Moonbeam's documents this morning, they are on the latter side. There's so much here. The tutorials are fantastic. So anyone in the audience who maybe isn't a developer, just appreciate they go above and beyond it, as Chainlink does as well, right? I think they set a very stark example of what the standard should be for providing devs with documentation, examples, tutorials, the whole deal. And I was very happy to see Moonbeam does as well. So let me pivot then, just go back to a little bit of what Chainlink has to offer Moonbeam in not only just the hackathon, but how specifically does Moonbeam use Chainlink products? What are you excited about integrating with Chainlink on Moonbeam specifically, and what projects would you like to see in the hackathon using various Chainlink products?
Yeah, certainly. So Moonbeam has a couple different networks. We have a mainnet called Moonbeam. We also have a canary network, or an experimental mainnet called Moonriver. And both Moonriver and Moonbeam have Chainlink price feeds, and they have had them for quite some time. Something to keep in mind is that Moonbeam and Moonriver are the only parachains within the Polkadot ecosystem that have Chainlink price feeds. And this is important because other parachains that are building on Polkadot can access Chainlink price feeds through Moonbeam. So this is important. And there are upwards of 50 different parachains on Polkadot, and many of them want access to price feed data, and they can get that through Moonbeam by making a cross-chain contract call. And this is big because this means that Chainlink can deliver these price feeds that are accessible both on Moonbeam and to other parachains. So we'd be very happy to see users building applications that utilize these price feeds on top of Moonbeam. If you have a cross-chain component, that's more exciting as well. It's not a requirement. You don't have to build something cross-chain, but we definitely encourage you to do so. Moonbeam has been a part of the Chainlink Scale program, I believe. I think that was announced, maybe like a year and a half ago or so. So our, collaboration runs deep. We are huge Chainlink fans, and we, enjoy collaborating with you on all sorts of initiatives.
Fantastic. I really appreciate the answer. I want to provide time. We always like to do a bit of an AMA at the end here, bring up anybody from the audience who would like to ask a question, either about the hackathon itself or about Moonbeam. So if anyone in the audience does have a question, please feel free to request. We'll get you up here so you can ask our speakers. While we do that, just to build off our last question here, do you know of any other products from Chainlink that Moonbeam is looking to integrate soon or maybe later in the year?
I don't know if I can speak to any at this point.
I thought I
Yeah,
would try.
yeah, no, thank you. I'm just not in those exact discussions.
No worries. Thank you so much for the spaces so far. Hopefully, we'll get some questions up here. Like I said, I always like to make sure the audience can participate a little bit. It's rare that they get direct interactions with some of the people up on stage. So um, while we wait, I do want to thank everybody for speaking, everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. These calls are something we love putting on. The more developers, the more Chainlink ecosystem participants we can speak to and provide a stage for, the better. It's just something the Link Toads really do like doing. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Javi and Smart Contract Drummer. It means a lot, for you to step up to the plate and help us put on this Twitter Spaces. It's huge. Your support is huge. And so Aaron from the Moonbeam Foundation, he'll be looking for any questions, any people that are requesting access. And in the meantime, I'll also just touch on kind of how we're judging these submissions, right? So we have four main categories. We try to make it, as simple as possible, right? The four main categories are technical excellence. We want to encourage you, to build something that's a bit more difficult, right? If you're working on a challenging problem, even if it's not, fully done and fully baked yet, those will be ranked higher. So technical excellence is one. Category number two is user experience and design. Moonbeam's about making better end user experiences, particularly across different chains. And so if you can take these complicated, cross-chain concepts and make it into a simple experience for the end user, that's huge in our book. Number three is value proposition. Are you making something that users want? Remember, we want you to take this, after the hackathon and release it to the public and get traction and get users. And that's going to be way easier to do if you're building something that users want. And lastly is creativity. So if you're building something that's unique and new, of course, that's going to be, amazingly cool. And that will rank, higher in terms of how we score submissions. So yeah, those are the four categories.
Amazing. And for any devs in the audience or listening back to the recording, there's still time. The deadline for submission is June 2nd, so there's still plenty of time to sign up. There's over 1,300 participants, which is really cool to see. I love looking at some of the projects from the last hackathon and can't wait to see what comes out of this one as well. But still time to join, still time to build something, come up with a cool idea and submit it to some of these tracks and hopefully earn some prizes.
And $547,000 total in prizes is the number that I see on DevPost, which is a crazy, remarkable number.
Absolutely. Yep. I should have mentioned that as well. It is unbelievable and really cool that all the sponsors are able to pull this together along with Chainlink. So I don't see any questions in the comments below. Nothing from the Moonbeam account either to get up on stage.
I think we're all good from our side. Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we have a second at the end here, if you don't mind, I'll do a quick plug on our Chainlink Toads here and just Again, thank you everybody for being here. We are the Chainlink Toads. What we do is work with ecosystem participants in the Chainlink ecosystem. That can be build partners, that can be chains who use Chainlink products such as Moonbeam. We like to host spaces with them, give them a platform to speak to the audience members who are actually using their products, who are so deep in the Chainlink ecosystem that we won't use a protocol or a chain that doesn't integrate those services. We've been doing it for about a year now, and we've had a great time integrating with these different partners, giving them a platform, like I said. And then when the time comes, we actually run education campaigns with those build partners or protocols, tell everybody what they're building, tell everybody what they're releasing. So I'm going to mainnet, releasing a token, whatever it may be. And it's a really great way to organize and educate the general crypto Twitter population on what these projects have going on. So if you're interested, please feel free to DM any of us. We'd be more than happy to let you know more information about what we're doing. And it's a great time. I think anybody who's been a Chainlink Toad, we really enjoy what we're doing. And it's a great way to give back to the community who's, we're here doing this anyway. So we might as well organize and give these protocols a platform to speak.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Smart Contract Drummer. And
Thank
thanks,
you.
Javi.
I appreciate, again, everyone being here and the speakers as well. Thank you for your time. And I'm really excited to see the projects that come out of the hackathon and hopefully some cool stuff built on Moonbeam.
Oh, likewise. We're super excited as well. Thanks to all the attendees and thanks to all the devs who are building in the Blackmagic Hackathon.
Thank you. Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
the
Jeff.
invitation. Thank you, Kevin, for all the information about Moonbeam and the exciting opportunities that you're offering for Blackmagic. It's a pleasure to have you always in our hackathons. Moonbeam is always there. Thank you, Smart Contract Drummer and Ari, for your help creating these spaces. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, who joined. For all, as mentioned, Smart Contract Drummer, you have time to participate in Blackmagic. The deadline to submit your project is June 2nd. Don't miss out this opportunity to showcase your skills and creativity. For more information about that, visit hack.chain.link. We encourage you to participate, and if you use Moonbeam, you can apply for one of their tracks and potentially win some of their prizes. Have a great day, everyone, and happy building.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to provide high-level content to our community like we just did right now. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, SmartCoin. Thank you, Javier, for making it happen.
Also, thanks to Aaron and Alvin for hosting. Thanks very much, guys.